Hello, this is Bob Halligan from the BBC. No, hi, how's it going, everybody? We need to say hello. We got two cameras. Hello, hello. To all the vast numbers of people in Singapore, Buenos Aires, where else? Any place? Australia? Good eye. Canada, eh? What do you know, eh? Take off, eh? We're an equal opportunity insulter. I'll mock out your accent. I'll take the Mickey out of you. My name is Bob Halligan Jr. These are my notes just here, and I am from Syracuse, New York, and I've enjoyed working with Bruce and Matt here with CMS for about 5 years now, I think. Have you done it here 5 years, Bruce? At the chapel at Cross Point in Buffalo, New York is where we are. And I'm sort of a songwriting teacher. I teach songwriting at Syracuse University. And I appear to have written a few songs along the way. I'll just tell you about that briefly. I've written something north of 1,000 songs in my day. And 200 of them have been recorded by all different artists, some of whom have been me. And with my group, Kaylee Rain. And to date, something above 30 million copies have been sold around the world in Singapore, Buenos Aires, etc. Hey, how are you? I'm seeing old friends from yesteryear. If that makes you sound too old, I apologize for that. You're perfectly now. But we need to see if you're going to be wow. So we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I've written songs for In the Christian World. We'll start there. Rebecca St. James, Bob Carlyle, Jump 5, Jeff Moore in the Distance, and CMS's own Rick Kua, who is my dear friend from way back. We've known each other since 1974, and I'll get into that as we go. And then in the mainstream, I've written for Judas Priest. Can you say that in a church? Well, I just did. Also Kiss, Cher, Michael Bolton, Blue Oyster Cult, Ted Nugent, Joan Jett, Night Ranger, Kathy Mattea, Moya Brennan, on and on and on. Canadian group, since we're near Canada, eh? Hey, how do you spell Canada? C-A-N-A-D-A. For real, he said that? Yep, I did. I wrote a song. There was a band called Helix. Canadians, you remember the group Helix from the 80s? You might be too young. Okay, they had a song called Rock You that if you didn't blink and you watched on VH1 the 100 most awesomely bad heavy metal videos ever, you saw my song Rock You by Helix at number 38. So pray the Lord, because bad press is still good press, isn't it? You know, they say that you don't read your press, you weigh it. So any news is good news, so long as they're talking about you. You know, there's an arc of a person's career, and then I'll get serious. Bruce has a concerned look on his face. I will come around to our topic for today. There is an arc of a person's career, and remind me of your name. Daniel Menta? Okay, pretty good, eh? The beginning of your career is, who's Daniel Menta? Then hopefully the next part of your career is, get me Daniel Menta. Okay? Because you become hot. Then the third phase of 4 is, get me a young Daniel Menta. And the fourth phase, of course, is, who's Daniel Menta? So I'm somewhere between get me young Bob Halligan Jr. or who's Bob Halligan Jr.? But you know what? God is in charge, and God doesn't do lousy work. Can I get an amen from Sister Madeline? Yeah, amen. I just now seeing you, that you're here. That's great. Okay, let's get the blood flowing. Stand up. Everybody stand up. Clap a hand. Clap a hand. Yeah, I feel that. All right, we got to warm up our voices. Let me hear you go. May me mamo moo. May me mamo. Again. May me mamo moo. May me mamo moo. Bobby, we love you. Bobby, we love you. Bob's a handsome dude. Bob's a handsome dude. His band Kaylee Rain is cool. Oh, that's great. That's great. Great job. I thank you for your kind words. It's all so sudden. I really didn't see it coming. You can sit down now. Okay, I have something to show you. This is a visual, not a sound now. Banana. Okay. Can the camera get a close-up? You following me? It's one syllable. Everybody together. 1, 2, 3. Wow. But we have a question, don't we? 2 syllables. Can you do the question? 2 syllables. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Wow. How? Okay. That brings us to the topic of our discussion for today. And it is a discussion. This is not a lecture series. A, because it's not a series. And B, because I don't think you want to hear me talk the whole time. You're going to be involved as we go, as you have with your beautiful words for me, and I appreciate that. Wow, how? How does one, let me read it right off of the thing here. Pardon me. Wow, how? Getting your song on next year's collection. An analysis of what gets onto Wow discs and how you can join the parade. Now, how many people here think that I can show you where the parade line forms and get you a ticket? How many? Raise. Okay. All right. Well, it could be a problem, right? Okay. Well, through God, all things are possible. Amen? Amen. Can I get a wow how? Wow. Can I get another wow how? Wow. All right. Okay. All right. So you're all down for all this nonsense. God bless you. Thank you very much. All right. We are going to explore wow how from 2 angles. From 2 angles. What? Oh, did I say from 2 angles twice? Did I? That's because I meant to. All right. Let me show you the 2 sets of 2 angles, okay? First of all, there's the creative side and the business side, okay? Songs don't operate in some sort of vacuum, right? You can write, Paul could have written Hey Jude, John's contribution. If they weren't the Beatles at that point, we never would have heard the song. Would it make the song a crappy song? No. You're right there. Okay, so that's the 2 angles that we will explore on those 2 angles. Here are the other 2 angles. The insider side and the outsider side. Okay, like at this conference, we got Paul Beloche, right, is here. Appears to be an insider. Okay, now, do we have anybody here from, say, Niagara-on-the-Lake? Yeah? Okay. Well, we would have to describe you, ma'am, as an outsider. And I hope this isn't news to you, nor terribly bad news, but it is fact that as a resident of Niagara-on-the-Lake, and for those streaming, it's just up the road. It's not far from here, eh? Beautiful little town, eh? But pretty far from Nashville, New York, Los Angeles, right? It's near Toronto, so I'll give you that, eh? But it's not near Vancouver, eh? I'm speaking Canadian, eh? Okay, so not very well based on the looks I'm getting. Okay, so yes, I too was an outsider, and many would maintain that I have maintained my outsider status in fine style. But I'll just tell you briefly a little bit about my background. Very briefly, I was born in Syracuse. I was born in Lackawanna. You would have corrected me. This guy knows me. Just down the road from here. But I grew up in Syracuse. I went to St. Charles Borromeo Catholic School. I went to Christian Brothers Academy Catholic Prep School. I went to Hamilton College, which is in Clinton, New York, near Utica. So I'm a local guy. In that sense, I'm total outsider, right? And since we're talking about the Catholic thing, there are some of us who grew up Catholic who are still Catholics, right? Now, is there anybody in the audience here today, in our vast sea of people, who would lay claim to the fact that they grew up Catholic and are still Catholic? For example, Father Bill Quinlivan, pastor of Blessed Sacrament Church in Tonawanda, are you still a Catholic?
Indeed I am.
Who knew? Okay, so there are a couple of us lowly papists who are involved, and we will get to one who's not so lowly in the Christian music business shortly, a fellow who has done rather radically well in recent years. You know who I mean. Okay, so I got to do my thing here. And while we're talking about Father Bill, let's promote an event that Father Bill is going to do. For those in Singapore, could be a bit of a drive, eh? But you need to know about this because it's great. Father Bill, over at Blessed Sacrament Church in Tonawanda, on what street is it? Claremont Avenue, yes. A week from today, so Friday the 11th, is going to be doing, at 7 p.m., a thing he's calling 600 Strings of Praise. So this is going to be 600 of us knucklehead guitar players playing what? Kumbaya?
Whatever.
And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Okay, so a little shameless his self-promotion of that event. So if you're in this area and you want to join in, there's a rumor going around Catholics love Jesus too. So you might go there and find out that is in fact the case. All right, so, okay, we've done our shameless promotion. If you are an outsider, if you are from Niagara-on-the-Lake or from Ontario, Canada, if you are from Buffalo, okay, not the international hub of the music business. Lovely town. But if you are, we need to go on a journey. So let me give you one outsider tip that I mentioned in the songwriter boot camp yesterday. We did an intensive here yesterday. We slapped them all around. It was boot camp. It wasn't spa day. It was boot camp. Okay, so what I said was, your best teacher is a hit song in the genre that you're interested in pursuing or that you love, okay? And by that, I don't mean that you just listen to "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord," and you go, oh, cool, I've really learned something now. No, you take the lyric apart, you understand where is the dramatic tension, where is the crying out. It's right there in the title in that first line. Then you take the music apart, you analyze it, you analyze the melody, the chords, the rhythms, and, if you're in a praise and worship band, essentially you're in a cover band for Jesus, right? And so you're learning all this stuff, and that's how you think back to like first grade and stuff. In order to string sentences together, we had to learn one word at a time, yeah? So learn one chord at a time, one melodic motif at a time. Is that too fancy, too much of a $50 word? Just a little hunk of notes that make sense. Yesterday, here comes, put in different places, but it's the same motif, okay? Look for stuff like that. That's what we need in order to have the building blocks to go forward, okay? All right, wow, how? Can I get a wow, how?
Wow, how?
Praise the Lord, yeah. Okay, here are some ways that if you are an outsider, maybe you could work toward the inside track a little bit. As I look at this CD, and I've been trying to analyze, how do these songs get on here? Who are the publishers? Who are the co-writers? Who are the players, the producers, all this stuff? Believe it or not, I really did consider all that and research this so that we wouldn't be total buffoonery here today. So number one tip is, if you're a band member, I know a guy, Barry Grawl, ended up in that, I think he's in that group, Mercy Me. Now, when I first met him, he was playing with my pal Rick Kua, and not necessarily a songwriter per se, not a lead singer, but a hot guitar player, nice guy. He's in that band. I think he's co-writing on all those songs. I think he's probably on one on here, okay? So that's a process by which anyone in this room, unless you're tied down to Blessed Sacrament Church, could go off and, create a little bit of an angle. That could be a how for the wow, all right? Next item is be a record producer. And that could be a little harder, but I bet you anything, some of you have spent some time in the studio, and you fool around, you fart around, you see what comes out, right? And if you're gearheads, then you buy more gear, and all of a sudden, you're making somebody's demo. This kind of thing happens all the time. Okay. Number 3, this is a little sneakier, but it could be easier. Be a wife, cousin, acquaintance, hairdresser, or shoeshine boy to the stars. Think about it. There've been a lot of people who, sort of married in, worked their way in sideways, however you want to say it. And you will see on this CD and many others, people who came in that door. It doesn't mean it was a bad door to come into. It just means that's how they got there, okay? I got a few more of these, then I'm going to play a song so it's more interesting. So we get all these. Yeah, that's good. That's better. Okay. Item number 4 I have on the list for you to consider. Meet the manager of the artist or the A&R person who most likely works for a company in Nashville. The artist, him or herself. And they're all here today. You can meet Paul Beloche when he's walking from point A to point B. There's nothing stopping you doing that, except maybe his bodyguards. Hey, that's what these conferences are about, networking. Not only with other people, from aisle B to aisle H, but also the people who are the hotshots, the wowers. Okay? So consider all of that. And I mentioned Nashville. Here's one you might try, or not, but move to Nashville. People say, well, can I just take trips down there and stuff? Wouldn't that suffice, Bob? And I say, well, no, it wouldn't. It's a step in the right direction. It's a way to see, I like it or I don't like it. No way on God's green earth am I moving to Nashville. But they say, those in Nashville say, that it's a 5-year town. What does that mean? It means you got to be there for 5 years to become established in what you're doing, whether it's country songwriting, you want to be a publisher in Christian music, whatever it may be, okay? But speaking specifically about writing for Christian music, I'll tell you what, it's probably going to take about 5 years. It's not a hard and fast rule, obviously. God is in charge. But God helps those what help themselves, right? So, something you got to be aware of. I'm not telling you to do it. And if your mom comes at me angrily on my new iPhone, what did you tell my... Well, I didn't tell you that. I said that's a way to do it. My wife and son moved to Nashville. We were there for 8.5 years. So, and it paid off somewhat. Okay, so number 6, this is very realistic and doable. Make an independent CD. Show of hands. How many have done that? You've made some kind of a CD. Even if you haven't put it out commercially, you've made a CD. Daniel, come on, help me out, brother. Help a brother out. Okay, so you've made these CDs, right? And you find ways to promote them, especially via social media. If one of you is clever enough, you could get, and you came up here and played a song that you thought could wow the people who are streaming this. You could be wow in Buenos Aires. You know what I'm saying? You have to look for ways to get yourself out there. Now here's a fascinating one. It says here, another way to wow, okay? Contract a unique, incurable disease or survive a natural disaster of epic proportions and be interviewed by Diane Sawyer. So that's a thought. All you streaming, you've seen Diane Sawyer, I bet. I'll bet you have. So the idea is nutty stuff happens to people who get in the news somehow. Then they get their chance. You think about Susan Boyle getting on American Idol. I mean, it's such a nutty. It's nutty what can happen in the world. If we showed you a picture of her 8 years ago, you'd say, "No way." But that voice came out of her, and the rest is history, right? So, very last one I see written here is way to wow. Offer to paint Dan McCullough's house. I'm looking at this CD, and it says, produced by Dan McCullough. And I may not be pronouncing his name right, and I ain't interested in getting it right. Yes, produced by Dan McCullough. One next song. Produced by Dan McCullough. You guessed it. Produced by Dan McCullough. So this guy, whoever he is, he's the it guy for right now. So go shine his shoes. I mean, it sounds nutty, but if you could meet this guy, we don't want to be, diabolical, but I'm just telling you that there are people he is meeting in the course of his daily doings who may have some opportunity. Hey, listen to this. That's the kind of thing that happens, okay? All right, let's talk about co-writing very briefly here. I notice on this first disc, which has a lot of really good stuff, by the way, there are 17 songs on the first disc. Only 2 songs in that list are written solely by the artist. So if my math is right, there are 15 possibilities for co-writers to crawl their way into wow. All right? Could be the band member thing, could be the producer thing, could be the wife thing, any of those things that I mentioned, okay? And it's, in Nashville, they all co-write, because in Nashville, nobody believes they can write a great song by themselves. And if you tell yourself that, and it becomes true. So, for whatever reason, the culture in Nashville is co-writers. Got to get with my co-writers. So you could be the co-writer. It's a thought. Can I get a wow how? Wow. Okay, it says there, I should ask you that just then. Okay. On this record, this CD, is a song by a guy named Matthew West. And I'm not current in the music business, okay? I'm the old Bob Halligan or Who's Bob Halligan stage of my life. And I'm a teacher, and I do miscellaneous stuff. But so my contacts, my Rolodex, we used to call it, have shrunk a bit. So I can't get to everybody. I can't get to a lot of people the way I may have once upon a time. But there is this fellow, Matthew West, who has a song called Strong Enough that is on, hey, where are you going? That is on the WOW CD. And I thought, I know somebody, you'll see her here. Cindy Wilt Colville is a music publisher and kind of song consultant. And she's doing classes while she's here. Cindy Wilt Colville, I don't know what her website is out in Buenos Aires, but she used to be my song plugger at Benson back in 1997, I want to say, something like that. She's a great kid, and hey, are you talking to me? And so she knows Matthew West, and the deal is that Matthew West used to come out and see my band, Kaylee Rain, in Nashville, and he was kind of like, ooh, I'm imagining. He was kind of, ooh. That's a picture in my head. Anyway, so I thought that I would play a little bit of the Matthew West song, and after I've played it, I will read you the answers to a questionnaire that I sent him via email, and he gives some very extensive answers, which I'll be reading for the first time when I read them to you. No, I've read it over. It's quite extensive. So he's got this song. It's a little bit awkward. Let me go down like this. Shrink myself. Okay. Tell me if you know this song. You must think I'm strong. Give me what I'm going through. But forgive me if I'm wrong. This looks like more than I can do on my own. I know I'm not strong enough to be everything I'm supposed to be. I give up. I'm not strong enough. Hands of mercy, I'm sorry. Let me move him closer. Are you following it, though, so far? Okay. Chorus again from the top. 2, 3, 4. I know I'm not strong enough to be everything that I'm supposed to be. I give up. I'm not strong enough. Hands of mercy, won't you cover me, Lord? Right now I'm asking you to be strong enough. Strong enough for the both of us. Okay, Buenos Aires, hold on with us, because I'm going to ask the house, and I didn't prepare you for this, I should have, but tough luck. Why is that wow? Anybody in the pews? Aisle B or C or perhaps F? Why is it wow?
It cries out, it's a common cry.
It's a common cry, yes. So you said two things there. Christian music, at its most effective, at its most emotionally heightened, is crying out. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Okay? And to go along with that, you love to have a universal theme. If you want to be wow, here's the how. You do a thing, a cry out that everybody's doing, not just your milkman or your manicurist, but it's kind of like everybody doesn't feel strong enough at some point in their life, right? So, okay, so that's the lyric side. Any other comments about the lyric, why it works? Or?
Catchy hook.
Catchy hook. Okay. Do you mean on the music side? Okay. So why is it a catchy hook? We know it's memorable. Then things always get quiet when I ask a question like that. Why is it a catchy hook? Come on. Huh? The motif repeats. And what is the motif? Go ahead, sing it for us. Strong enough. You transpose this down to G, I think. Yeah. Strong enough. Good work. So it's 2, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3. And those same notes against what? Same chord or different chord? I'm leading you by the nose a little bit on that. But you got the motif thing. This is not rocket scientists, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the how to the wow is, do the math. 2, 3, 5, 3, 2. What do we mean by 2, 3, 5, 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Also known as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Right? Okay. Now, how would it be if you went? Okay, but is it as hooky? This is the international sign for no. About even Buenos Aires, we know that means no, right? Okay, so it's a fairly simple proposition. You're looking for something. The songwriter's job is to annoy the heck out of everybody out there so they leave wherever they heard your song, singing your song, right? And lyrics are important, but remember, there's no such thing as a hit lyric that people hum. They're humming the hit melody, okay? If you hear Muzak in an elevator, you're hearing a hit melody. It may have had a great lyric attached to it that was the wind beneath the melody's wings to get it to your ears. But without the melody, the great lyric just becomes kind of a boring singer-songwriter song that you'll hear in a smelly club in Boston, where the person who's singing it is kind of gazing at his navel gazer, we call them. That's a technical term. So please write that down. Navel gazer. If you want to do church music, and if you want to be wow anyhow, you cannot be a navel gazer. It can't be I, me, mine. There is a generosity. We talk about this corporate music, where it's for the body, it's for everybody. It's got to be something we can all care about and we can all sing a bit. Okay? Now, is every song on a WOW CD a corporate song, a praise and worship song, or are some of them artist songs? I think that's an artist song. This Matthew West, let me put it in the right key. It just has a kind of a looseness to it that feels like an art. And I am thrilled, to be honest, that there's so many seeming artist records on this compilation. And that's, I think, a great sign where we're getting back to more a self-expression rather than always being so concerned about, can they sing this in Sheboygan, those who can't really sing, kind of thing. And that's fine, that's good, but we need to have a balance of the two. So I think that's good. I'm glad you agree. That's the fellow behind Father Bill Quinlivan from Blessed Sacrament. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to Matthew West was asked this question by me. I said, Matthew, old pal, how did this song, Strong Enough, make it onto your album? Because you got to get on the album first, right? You're not getting on a compilation from Niagara-on-the-Lake, okay? You got to be on some kind of artist album someplace, right? Okay, so I'm killing the time here. I'm sorry. Oh, no, we're good. So how did it get onto the album? Did your A&R person choose it? Was it a producer? Or did you as artist choose it? Or was there some sort of fan interest that propelled the song onto your disc? And he says, Strong Enough was inspired by a story that was sent to me. He goes right back to the beginning. This is very interesting stuff. Inspired by a story that was sent to me from a single mom who was watching her teenage daughter struggle to recover from a near-fatal car accident. Both the mother and her daughter were facing their own seemingly impossible circumstances and feeling like the strength they had wasn't enough. So again, this common thing. We all, Sister Madeline here up in Vermont had a flood. If you remember the flood in Vermont last summer or fall, whenever that was, and her house was wiped out, okay? Were you strong enough that afternoon after to no, of course not, So this stuff happens, right? So he says, I wrote the song in a cabin where I stayed for a couple of months as a writing retreat back in 2010. So and note this, he doesn't just wait while we talked about lawnmower time. He doesn't just wait till he's mowing the lawn and see if something hits him. He carves out the time. We must carve out the time to write. It may be that you'll get your best ideas after you do that, while you're mowing the lawn or swimming laps or whatever it is that you do. That is a mindless thing, but allows your mind to drift without a lot of intention. But we must have what we call intentional time. We agreed on that at the boot camp, right? Or do it or else. I'll give you one of those, because it was boot camp, all right? Okay, so anyway, Matthew goes on to say, my label came out to the cabin and originally heard the song performed out there, just acoustic guitar and vocal. So he started very small. These were his people. So he's in the door already, right? But as far as the song is still, a little, it's a zygote, right? If I may use such terms. Okay. played it for them live before heading into the studio. Between the label, the two producers, my manager, and myself, we all began casting our votes. They vote, fairly clinical, straightforward, almost like American Idol, kind of whatever. And Strong Enough was one of the songs that was picked unanimously by the whole team. So that's how the song got on there. Everybody who mattered heard the song and said yes. In your journey, you may find 3 people who matter, who love a song, but there could be a 4th person who really matters, as in writes the check or whatever, circumstance, books your band to play at the coffee, whatever it is. There's always somebody who can say, I don't think so. We get rejected, creative people get rejected, unwowed, at every turn. If you're really working at it, you get rejected at least once a day by somebody. You can then quit, or you can carry on. And carry on is what I prefer. Okay, question number 2 to Matthew West was, Matthew, how did the song become a single? See, that's the other thing. I've had plenty of songs that I wrote that sat on Cher's album, never came out as a single. You still make money from the sale of the album, but you don't get any performance royalties from ASCAP or BMI. It's because it's not on the radio, right? So it shrinks your possibilities. So, and I will tell you, every song on here surely was on the radio and on the radio and on the radio until you were sick of it, right? Okay, so how did it become a single? Was it because it sounded like a hit? It felt contemporary? Or did the A&R producer artist triumvirate choose it for some specific reason? And he says, musically, the song experienced quite a transformation from my first little acoustic recording to the finished recording. So in other words, a song can grow as we come up with the production of it, right? And it can change too. When we got into the studio, we slowed the tempo way down. You might have a great song. The Beatles had a song called Love Me Do. And it was really kind of a droopy tempo. It was when they first had it, it was kind of love me do. You know I love you. The producer, George Martin, said, lads, would you ever pick up the tempo a little bit? So they went, love me do. You know I love you. And it was one of their first hits, right? So be aware that changing the tempo, either faster or slower, moving the capo up and down to get just the right key for your voice, adding a guitar or taking away a guitar that detracts from the song that you thought you needed, but in fact you don't. Think of the very beginning, God rest Whitney Houston, the very beginning of I Will Always Love You. There's an a cappella thing. I don't remember what it is, but they probably recorded it with instruments, and then somebody hit the solo button, and they heard just her. And in those days, she could sing like crazy. And somebody said, that's our record. That's the way our record starts, right there. So we have happy accidents, and you can call them God or whatever you want to call them, but we have to have the gift of discernment to say, ooh, okay? So just be aware of stuff like this. And I'm going to yak you to death. I'm sorry about that, but here we go. Okay, slowed the tempo way down and lowered the key. That's the capo deal. About a step and a half. Now that's from here down to here. That's a big difference. It becomes a different song, really, in a way, when you do that. When I'm writing by myself, I find that I play everything way too fast and way too high because he's trying to pump it up because the band isn't there. So, all these things, and he's a recording artist. He's making records, and he has to make these adjustments. So it's, nobody was born wow. You had to get wow somehow through your own efforts. God, makes things happen, but we have to show up for work, right? Okay, so I would say that in the beginning, it was the lyric that got everybody to vote and put the song on the record. But as the track developed in the studio, you go to make a record, and you don't know, in fact, which song is going to rear its head. Okay, I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, folks. All right, I'm trying to decide if I should stick with this, because I got to be thinking about Buenos Aires. Not really. Okay, so no, this is too interesting. May I stay with this? It's okay, because he really gives us what we need. It's all right here. Okay. Okay, so as the track developed in the studio, that's when it began to feel like a hit. You know, they all knew they liked the song, but they didn't know it was totally the wow thing, right? I always agonize over picking which song should be a single. The label had actually picked another song that they liked from the beginning. But to me, that song didn't quite take the jump from the demo stage to the next level in recording. It was still good, but it wasn't like, wow, okay? And I just had a feeling that Strong Enough was going to connect with people. The radio department agreed to go with it. So the artist, Matthew West, radio department, I want this one. That's what happened. He's softening that a little bit. Be aware that no matter what your circumstances, who you feel you're beholden to, you get to stick your hand up, if you're nice about it, and say, hey, I have an opinion. It matters. Here's why. If you can support your arguments in life, it always helps. Okay. So, as a result, it says, we also liked the fact that the song had a quick tempo. And it's harder to have an up-tempo hit at Christian radio, he says. And as a result, your career can easily be dominated by ballads. This song seemed to accomplish both the emotional connection of a ballad, but in a song that packs a bit more of a punch, musically. Last question to Matthew. What do you think made the song so successful that it was chosen to be on the Wow CD? And, you know, that's kind of a American Music Awards question. It's on there because it sold a lot of records, right? But there's more to it than that. So he says, I think what made the song successful was that emotional connection, and we've identified this, that I hoped people would find with the lyrics. Since its release, people haven't just shared with me that they think it's a cool tune. It oftentimes goes deeper than that. Hearing things like, that song is my anthem now. And I've had people say this kind of thing to me. Believe me, there are no gold records that can beat that, all right? I have 2 minutes left. I've written a lot of songs in my time, okay? I have not been on any WOW CDs because most of the hits I had were in the days pre-WOW, okay? But I probably had 4, 5, 6 songs that would have been on WOW CDs. This one would not have been on a WOW CD, but I want to show you something. I didn't bring this not to open it up. Okay, Rebecca St. James, how many minutes? 1 minute?
I would say 15.
15 minutes. Okay. Now I'm ahead of my story here. Okay. We're now going to carefully put back the maroon bag. Eat a banana now and wait for it. Okay. All right, so it's all of a sudden, everything's changed. 15 minutes. Okay. Pray the Lord I got 15 minutes. I got 3 hands. Can I get 3 hands? Like this. 1, 2, 3. Madeline did it. God bless you. All right. Okay, so let me go back to reading Matthew West. Did you have a question, sir, or you were just stretching? Okay, no worries. Feel free to stretch, one and all. Let me see. Okay, the song is my anthem. People have told him that, right? It's pretty great. People who are facing their giants. That means bad people, I guess, like Daniel and Goliath. Or I got that wrong, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, Punch and Judy, I don't know. Finding strength in the promise that we don't have to be strong enough. We were never created to be. Then he said, I also feel like the bridge of the song serves as almost a second chorus. He goes, I think all through all things, God are possible, whatever the heck. Anybody know the darn song? Sing it for us. I got the lyric here someplace. I just turned it over. I can do all things. Pray the Lord. Thank you, sir. through God who gives me strength. So part of it was he didn't have a sort of scriptural moment, and he found one that we all know, and he was able to make like a little refrain, an add-on hook, chorusy thingamajig. And so he says, I think that's part of it. Brings it to a singable scripture place. And they got audience feedback, meaning the audiences sang along on that part. So the guy really, he gamed the system. You know, he found a way to really just make this happen. Brilliant, genius, wonderful. So Matthew West, seemingly a good guy, right? Gives me all those answers. Very nice. Okay, let me see what else I should do.
Play the cup.
Huh?
The cup.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
There's
All
a
right, so
motif in there. It's nice.
I will play you a little bit of a song. This is a wow how thing, and you requested that because you want to hear the song. But I'll tell you a little story. There is a Christian artist named Audrey Assad. She's new. She was here last year. Fantastic. Okay, so Audrey and I were teachers, panelists, whatever you want to say, presenters at the songwriter boot camp last year, and Audrey, I got to find my water if I'm going to sing. Hold on. At the end, you know, the teachers torture the recruits in the boot camp. You know, oh, your song's too short, too long, intro's too long, all this kind of stuff, right, Daniel? Right. Yeah. Okay. So, and then they get a little revenge at the end, where the teachers have to play a song and show why we think we're so hot, right? So it's a little bit of a pressure. You feel it right here, right? So I played a song that my pal, Sister Madeline, has just requested. And later on, I saw Audrey Assad, and she starts singing the song back to me. This is what we're looking for, right? The bum 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 da ba da do. You'll probably leave here, and that'll be in your mind. Well, maybe not when you hear this one. And so Audrey Assad had this song, and she's like, maybe I don't know anything, but that's a hit song to me. And so I thought, okay, well, that's cool. So my wife Linda and I went to an Audrey Assad concert about 3-4 weeks ago in Syracuse. So this is 11 months after she hears the song. Now, she can't necessarily sing it back to me, but she says to me, hey, that song you played that day, number one, I think it's a hit. And number two, I might record that song. Whoa! Praise the Lord, yeah. You know, could be a wow. Might not get on the wow CD, but you never know, okay? So I'll play you a bit of the song. I wrote it about the missus. And it goes, I should have noticed you were needing something more. From how you let your shirts just pile up on the floor. I should have lent a hand or given you some space. I don't want to be the shadow that passes across your face. I want to be your favorite movie. I want to be your favorite song. I want to be the catchy chorus makes you wanna sing along. If I should see your saddest moment, I'll be the wind that lifts you up. When your heart overflows, I wanna be the cup. I wanna be the cup. Romantic, right? And so the whole is a singular melody, and you got to be a bit of a singer to manage it. And Audrey's a wicked good singer, and she heard right away. Well, he was good on it, but I could hit that one out of the park, you know.